great job on free speech.
Thank you.
I'm going to say a little bit about Nina. When Nina talks, she takes you to church. Most of the time when I end up listening to her, I cry and sob about politics. So she's my every inspiration. In fact, I had my portraits done for my campaign, and I was really having a hard time loosening up because I'm used to taking the picture. I'm not used to someone taking a picture of me. And they're like, what's going to make you smile? I know what'll make you smile. First time like Nina Turner came in the room, and I was like, and that's how I got it. So I like to call her Nina the Great.
Yeah. Oh my
Nina
God.
taking to church.
Thank you so
for being
much.
here.
Will County, it's great to be here, and just Suzanna, thank you so much. And I have to give a shout out to Richard Rodriguez, who is really responsible for me being here today. As you know, he's on the National Our Revolution Board, and we are so proud to have him, and you all should be proud too. Out of 11 slots on that board, he has one of them, and he's such a great representative, not only of your state, but of the progressive movement as a whole. He is an excellent, excellent addition to the Our Revolution National Board, particularly because he is a grassroots leader. And that really is the heart and soul of what is going to fuel our movement, is grassroots leadership. The grassroots leadership, the citizen leaders that are in this room. So I just feel so welcome tonight. That was so quick. I'm thinking you're going to be talking for a long time, and here I am. I really feel like walking out the room and coming back in, you know? Again and again, you know. Just really heavy times for us as progressives, and we know that. You know, some people have smooth surfaces, and this is both in life, but also in our respective professions. So I just kind of want you to follow me with this. Some people have smooth surface. That's just how it is. Other people have a rocky surface. That's how it is. Some people have to surmount hills, and other people have to jump mountains. There are lots of mountain jumpers in this room and all across this country. And what I mean by that, that people who go through extra stuff just because. And a lot of the working class people in this country, and I was just sharing with the board leaders that I got a chance to meet with, is that I consider middle class people working class. All of us work for a living. It just depends on what level of the working class we are in. But the last time I checked, the middle class works. So there is no separation between the working class and the middle class. We are the working class. Now some of us might be on the lower end of the working class, just absolutely poor. Some of us are in the middle of that spectrum, and then some of us have been blessed enough through our work to be able to get a little higher in terms of the economic hierarchy, but we're all working class people. I have to work for a living. I don't have an inheritance or anything waiting for me. I have to work for a living. And so to the extent that we can really focus in on what we really do have in common across the spectrum, and that's economics, that's social, that's political, that's gender, that's ethnicity, that's sexual orientation, that's religion, no religion, the fact that we collectively represent the rainbow mosaic of humanity in Will County, that's really what this is about. We are together, we rise or fall together. That's it really hurt my heart, you know. Well, Suzanne, she doesn't know I'm going to tell this story, but you know, she pulled me to the side before the meeting with the board, and she was talking about her run for city council. And it really hurt me, some of what she told me, because now her race and gender is being used against her. We can't get so caught up in foolishness. Everybody has an experience. And nobody who holds elected office, and I don't care who they are, what walk of life they come from, what their ethnicity is or is not, or gender, how they identify, anybody in elected office is open to get a challenge. And I don't care who they are. You can be challenged. And so we cannot forsake our movement. Some people use different attributes as a blunt force instrument instead of using it to lift. So I am here to say that anybody that is supporting this woman You support her for what she stands for.
Yes.
And if you support the other person, that's okay too.
Yes.
But it should be, see, I am a black woman, just in case you didn't know.
Hey.
What? I know it might come as some surprise to a lot of people in here. But it's so I have a certain lived experience. But everybody in this room has a certain lived experience. But it really is our collective lived experience to be able to share that lived experience with each other. And for me to be able to say to this room that is majority not a color, that black folks historically have had to jump mountains. Generation after generation. Those are facts. And we need allies of other ethnicities and walks of life to understand that. So how do we talk about race and class together and not run from it? It's not about whether or not you as an individual discriminate, you as an individual have bigoted tendencies. It's not about individuals necessarily. When we talk about racism, we are talking about systemic racism from the inception of this country. When we talk about sexism, and it's not to be anti-man, because feminism was not designed to be anti-man, even though some so-called feminists are using it that way. It is about our universal humanity. That's what feminism is supposed to be about. Not so that women can then take the power and do the same thing to men that men did to us. It is about our humanity, but it is also about identifying the isms in this country. And just like racism, sexism is rooted in the DNA of this country since its inception.
5,000 years.
So we have to be able to be willing to have the hard conversations about the kind of nation we were from its inception and not sugarcoat it. The kind of nation in some ways we still are. The fact that white women still only make 80 cents on every dollar. African American women less than that, about 76 cents. Latinas less than that, about 67 cents. Our indigenous sisters, even less than that. What is wrong with having that very real conversation, but to say to men, we need you as allies. If you run a company, pay women fairly, equally as a man. What is wrong with having allies that say, we want to support women who want their whole damn dollar. And ladies, we do want our whole damn dollar. Some back pay, don't we? We want some generational back pay while we at it. And so we gotta have, we have to be able to have these conversations. What kind of world is it when the people who are fighting for equality and justice only want to make sure that they have the power so that they can do to the group that transgressed them the same thing? That's not the kind of world that I want to live in. So yes, am I going to talk about institutional, systemic racism in this country? You bet your ass I'm going to talk about it. But I'll talk about sexism, ageism, classism, all of the isms. None of the isms are right. And so we have to be able to stand united. And the progressive movement, I hate to put this burden on you, but it is our burden to be the bearers of trying to change, to be the bridge for humanism. That's it. And so I believe in a philosophy that says that hard on the issues, soft on people. And I don't know if we got any millennials in the room, but the millennials will know what I say when I say we need to go ham on the issues. Ask a millennial what that means. I'm trying to keep it PG. We gonna go ham on the issues and soft on people. What I mean by soft on people, I don't have to tear you down personally to get my point across.
I don't have to go over your children on social media because I don't agree with what you had to say.
Thank you.
I don't have to talk about your mama, your cat, your dog.
Thank you.
I mean, that's just the kind of world is vicious. And social media, it can be used as a beautiful tool for bringing community together, but it can also be used as a tool to try to kill and assassinate people. And then another thing. Last time I checked, we live in the United States of America, so people have a right to their opinion. We don't have a right to our own facts, but we do have a right to have our own opinion. I ain't gonna, well, I don't talk about a certain person, but you know, he dominates too much of our
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it about it just boggles my mind. The same people talking about they fighting for democracy want to suppress people's opinion, especially on the progressive side of the spectrum. They're always coming at us. So even if I don't agree with what you have to say, as long as it's not hate-laced, we just gonna disagree. And I don't have to try to tear you down personally.
Thank you.
To say that I believe that we need to have a Democratic Congress, a House of Representatives that's going to stand firm on the Green New Deal. And some of the leaders that's not willing to stand up for it might be people we like.
Yeah.
But on this issue, we going to have to go ham. Because I remember reading a report from NASA that says we only got about 12 years. Everybody in this room, with the grace of God, will still be here in 12 years. So what is our obligation to Mother Earth?
Yes.
For ourselves and for future generations, we have an obligation.
Yes.
Democrats of the House, I want you to pass Medicare for all. And just because I hold you accountable doesn't mean I don't like you personally. But I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to ask the people who live in your district, people who suffer, the almost 30 million people in this country who have no health insurance at all, the millions of people who are underinsured right this moment, and the last time I checked, being human is a pre-existing condition, so that's a low bar. That's a low bar now. We want Medicare for all. That was a beautiful thing, what the ACA was able to do. Protect the ACA, but we want to go further. We want Medicare for all. And as far as I'm concerned, any Democrat worth their salt who don't understand that. That people's health, that's your wealth. And then all of the creative things that you can do when you know that you won't be burdened by medical bills. I've traveled to over 40 states as the president of our revolution last year. And to talk to people from Iowa to the great state of Illinois, to my great home state of Ohio, to people in Hawaii and Alaska. Same thing. People are saddled with debt, and a lot of that debt comes from, if you went to college, you're still paying off debt. And depending on what type of job you have, you got medical bills. I have health insurance, and my health insurance still doesn't cover everything. And some people can't even afford to pay that extra. So why won't we invest our money, our tax dollars, the way other industrialized nations do, on a Medicare for all system that will drive down the individual costs, not only for us as individuals, but also for companies and businesses. It is a better return on investment. Do you know that life expectancy in this country have gone down for the last 3 years straight? We pay more money per capita than any other industrialized nation on the face of this earth for healthcare, and we don't get a return on our investment. It makes no sense. It makes no sense morally, and it makes no sense economically. Not to have a Medicare for all system. So yes, Democrats, we already know that the Republicans just are not going to do it. So since we have a two-party system in this country for now, we need one of the parties to stand up for Some of these folks have the best health care that our tax dollars can buy. And then they sit up there in the straight face in the Congress and have some of them, whether they're Republican or Democrat, to say that they don't know whether or not Medicare for all, whether we can afford it. We can't afford not to.
Amen.
So it takes courage to be able to do these things. And the beautiful thing about Senator Bernie Sanders, if I just might give a shout out. Is that before these issues became popular, he was on the cutting edge.
That's right.
6 years ago, he was talking about the Green New Deal.
That's right.
I think it was only him and Senator Barbara Boxer that even would sign the thing. Nobody would sign it. And now we find out even now the current leadership in the House is what I understand. Well, anyway.
That's not leadership.
Yeah, it isn't.
All I'm saying is that we don't have to agree on everything, but there are just a few fundamental things we are going to have a litmus test for. Saving Mother Earth and Medicare for all. As you can see, I am a hell-raising humanitarian. That's my part of it. And I love it. It's hard on some days, but I'll take it. But, you know, it is such a pleasure to be in this room with you and to be with people and to be able to get to hear people's stories. See, this is what gives me my strength. It gives my ability to travel across the country and tell stories of everyday people who are trying to make a difference, and you are those people. You could have been anywhere on a Friday night, Richard. Anywhere on a Friday night, and here you are. We are here together because you are believers, and you want to make a difference. You are the difference. And times do seem daunting, yes they do, and they are hard, and we are going to have to fight like hell, and we are going to win some, and baby, we're going to lose some. That's what happens when you get in the ring. But what is going to happen when the story is told, they will talk about how we softened the soil. That for every progressive in this room that was bold enough to run, even if you didn't win the prize at that moment, you softened the soil. For everybody that was willing to stand up to say, we deserve Medicare for all, you're softening the soil. And then the information that I just heard from the leadership about you guys right behind us or around there, 3% of the GDP comes through here. And you got people working in jobs where those jobs are not even full-time, but they don't have medical benefits for Fortune 500 companies.
You tell the truth.
In Will County.
It's disgusting.
Disgusting.
And so my question is, what are the state and local elected officials doing to demand better for the people? Born poor, the likelihood that you're born poor increases the likelihood that you're going to die.
That's right.
What kind of country is that?
That's right.
America is better than that. What happened to us being able to aspire as a group of people towards the American dream? The studies that have come out to say that the generation behind us will have it harder than we have it. That's not what I signed up for. I signed up for my son to have better than me. And his son or daughter to have better than him. That's what we signed up for. So yeah, the system is rigged. It's rigged socially, politically, economically. Yes, it's rigged. But just as people with power rig this system, the people, the everyday people in this country can unrig it, and we are those people. We plan to unrig this system. And if you don't believe that it can be done, as a student of history, I just want you to walk down memory lane with me just a little bit, just a few examples. The abolitionist movement. in the 1800s, 1600s, 1700s. Before slavery was abolished, there was a group of people that basically said, "Oh, our dead bodies." And they fought like hell to keep a system of chattel slavery that treated Africans and their American descendants as objects, branded them. When black women birthed babies into the world, that baby was born a slave with no hope to be able to break the generational cycle because a system was set up. And then that chain was broken. It was broken by the slaves themselves, and then some compatriots. And then they had some allies called radical Republicans. I got to tell the truth on that history. And the system tilted towards tilted, because it's not all the way there, tilted. For women in this country. Didn't get the right to vote till 1920. There were people during the time that said, "Little lady, why you need to vote? Let the men handle this. You're not smart enough to vote. Let us handle this." Over our dead bodies when women get the right to vote. That's what they said. They called the women that were fighting for that right to vote crazy, hysterical. They locked them up. But then, because women and their allies fought a system, justice started to tilt in the right direction. Our gay, lesbian, transgender sisters and brothers couldn't get married. But over the course of movements in this country, whether it was the abolitionist movement, the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, for every movement in this country that fights against the grain of a system that is rigged, we tilt it towards justice.
Yeah.
And in this day, in this moment, right now, in this time, it is our job to tilt it towards justice environment, to tilt it towards justice Medicare for all, to tilt it toward justice making sure workers have unions that take care of them. To make sure that this nation of immigrants, with the exception of our indigenous sisters and brothers and those who are descendants of slaves, that our sisters and brothers in this world who are seeking refuge, that we tilt it towards justice like we have other immigrants coming from Europe. And not all immigrants from Europe were accepted. Those who understand history know that if you were not from the northern part of Europe, there were signs on windows that said Nina, and they weren't talking about Nina the Great. It meant, I'm keeping that in there. I'm going to go tell my staff, you know, they call me S&T. I'm just saying, no, just Nina the Great. But you know, there were signs indoors. Elders in here know, people, students of history, it said Nina. No Irish need apply. See, we have more in common than now. Do some people have an extra mountain to jump? Absolutely they do. We must admit that at the same time that we fight for justice for all people. But everybody didn't start on the level playing field. Some people have a smooth surface. Some people have to surmount a rocky surface. Some people have to surmount hills, and then other folks got to jump mountains. What our movement is about is the tilt towards justice for all people, as much as we can. But by the grace of God, it could be any one of us at that southern border. But by the grace of God. So yes, should we protect our borders? Absolutely. But how do we protect our borders? And is there a way to do this in a humane way?
Yes.
I mean, we got got somebody in office who won't even just follow the laws we got on the books right now. Let's not having the debate. We have a Congress that lacked the courage to deal with immigration reform.
That's right.
Not just this Congress, but the Congress before that, and the Congress before that, and the Congress before that.
That's right.
Kicking it down the road.
All the time. So we are going to continue to tilt towards justice. We are going to win some, and we are going to lose some. But what people are going to know is that we were in this fight.
That's right.
And that together that we do make the difference. And when you ever feel discouraged by that, I want you to look back on history. That it can be done. As a black woman in America, I thank God that some of my ancestors decided we're going to fight this, we're going to go ham on this system.
That's right.
A sister wouldn't be free. I wouldn't be able to stand up here today. We wouldn't be able to be in this room together, Jim Crow, with black codes.
That's right.
But they had the courage to go against the system. And even our beloved, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose holiday we will be celebrating in a few weeks, in his time, he was hated.
That's right.
The Gallup poll did a poll. His favorability rating was in the 30s.
That's right.
And you think, in 2018, you're the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And especially when he started to talk about the military-industrial
That's
complex.
right. That's right.
When he started to speak up against Vietnam.
That's right.
Yeah.
When he started to talk about poverty and a system that was rigged. Now he was out of his lane and
That's
talking
right.
about civil rights. And the system said to him, Dr. King, don't, you're going too far now.
That's right.
But he stood up anyway. And that is our mission in this day. Pick your hero. Pick your shero. Mother Jones comes to mind from this so often. Mother Jones. Standing up for minors and children. I remember one of her quotes. She was talking to somebody that was in prison, and she asked the man, she said, what are you in prison for? And I think he said something like he stole some shoes. She said, if you had stolen a railroad, you'd be a senator.
That's right. That's right.
A senator, a U.S. Same thing, right? Same thing. We need some more Mother Jones.
That's
We need
right.
some 21st century Mother Joneses. We need some 21st century Fannie Lou Hamer.
That's right.
Yes.
Some 21st century Alice Paul.
Oh.
Dr. Alice Paul. Man. So I'm, because I'm starting to feel good now.
I'm starting to get more.
I'm getting more. I really want you to be encouraged that even in moments that seem like we're not winning, we are winning, we're softening the soil, we really, really are. We do that electorally, we also do that on the issue side. And then for those who still want to fight inside the Democratic Party,
You know.
we're doing it!
We're doing it.
We're taking over.
We're doing it! So I'm going to close with Grandma's 3 bones. I don't even know if I'm on topic tonight or what I'm supposed to be doing tonight. I'm just feeling good.
Yeah.
But